Jack was alone in space. His small repair ship floated near a dead satellite above a cold, forgotten moon. Outside his window, stars blinked like tiny eyes in the dark. He worked quietly, wearing a tool belt and a tired expression. For Jack, silence was peace. He liked machines more than people, but this night was different. A red light flashed on his screen. "Incoming object detected," the computer said. Jack frowned. "Another broken drone," he muttered. He pressed a few buttons, and a live feed popped up. His eyes widened. It was not a drone. It was a small, silver pod spinning slowly through space. Burn marks covered the sides. The pod was damaged, barely holding together. Jack rushed to the control panel. He opened the pod bay and pulled the strange capsule inside his ship. The moment it landed with a soft thud, everything fell silent again. He approached the pod carefully. The glass was cracked, but he could see someone inside. A survivor? He tapped the emergency release. Steam hissed as the pod opened. Then, slowly, a figure fell into his arms. It was a girl. An alien girl. Her skin was soft silver, almost glowing. Her long hair floated like silk in the low gravity. Her face was beautiful, but her body was weak, bruised, and cold. She wore a torn blue dress, and around her neck was a strange metallic collar. Jack gently laid her on a warm medical bed. She blinked once, then tried to speak. Her voice was soft, broken. "Don't send me back," she whispered. Then she passed out. Jack stared at her. "What the hell is going on?" He scanned her body. The collar around her neck was locked, tight and pulsing with energy. Her vitals were low. She needed food, water, and rest. He fetched a warm cloth and began cleaning the blood from her arms. She had cuts and bruises everywhere, as if someone had beaten her or she had crashed hard. "Who are you?" he asked quietly, knowing she couldn't answer. Hours passed. The girl remained unconscious, breathing slowly. Jack stayed by her side, watching her, trying to guess where she came from. She wasn't like other aliens he had seen. She had a royal air to her, a quiet dignity, even in pain. Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. Jack turned. The collar on her neck glowed faintly. "Strange tech," he muttered. He scanned it. The computer said, "Class X binding collar. Origin, unknown empire. Purpose, control, suppression." His eyes narrowed. They were controlling her. He looked back, at her face. She looked peaceful now, but a tear slipped from the corner of her eye, even in sleep. She was scared. Later, Jack prepared a small soup with protein packs and warm water. When she woke up, she was lying under a blanket. She looked around in panic. "You're safe," Jack said gently. "You're on my ship." She backed away, shaking. Her hands went to her collar as if afraid he would activate it. "I don't have the key," he said. "I won't hurt you." She blinked. Her lips trembled. She tried to speak again. "My name is Nirali," she said, voice weak. "I ran. I escaped." Her eyes filled with tears. "They'll come for me." Jack sat beside her. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the food tray and slowly took a spoonful. She hadn't eaten in days. Jack watched her silently. There was a strange sadness in her eyes, as if she had given up hope long ago. After she finished eating, Nirali sat with her knees to her chest, hugging herself. Jack brought a small towel. "You can wash. The water's warm." She looked at him, confused. "You're not going to sell me?" she asked. Jack frowned. "Sell you?" She nodded. "Others did. They called me slave." She touched her collar. "This keeps me weak." Jack stood up, angry now. "That's not right." Nirali looked at him carefully. "Why? Are you kind?" He didn't answer. Instead, he just said, "Rest, you need sleep." Later, while she slept, Jack sat at the console looking at the stars. What had he just brought into his life? Whoever Nirali was, she was in danger. And now, so was he. But somehow he couldn't walk away. There was something in her voice. Something broken. And something in her eyes, something brave. He looked back at her, and deep down, he knew. This was just the beginning. Jack didn't sleep. He sat by the control panel, eyes fixed on the small camera feed showing the sleeping alien girl, Nirali. Her silver skin shimmered under the ship's soft yellow light. She looked peaceful now, but Jack knew better. Peace didn't belong to someone who ran in a broken pod with a collar meant to break minds. He kept asking himself, who was she really? Why did someone try to keep a powerful creature like her in chains? Hours later, Nirali stirred. Her eyes opened, slowly scanning the room like a trapped animal. Jack stepped in gently, carrying a cup of warm water. "You're safe here," he said in a calm voice. She sat up, holding the blanket close to her chest. "Why did you help me?" she asked, voice still soft like wind through glass. Jack shrugged. "You were falling apart in space. I don't leave people to die, even if they're aliens." She looked down at the floor. "You'll regret that." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Why?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stood, shaky but proud. Her legs trembled as she walked to the mirror. She touched the collar again. "I can't feel my gift," she whispered. "Gift?" Jack asked. She turned slowly toward him. "My kind, we're not just flesh. We are minds. I was trained to speak without words, to see without eyes. But this collar, it kills my gift." Jack narrowed his eyes. "You're psychic?" She nodded. "I was born in the royal house of Virixia, but now I'm just property." The room fell silent. "A royal?" Jack sat down slowly, processing everything. Virixia was one of the ancient empires on the edge of the galaxy. Known for powerful minds and strict laws, he had just rescued a runaway, princess or prisoner. "Why were they after you?" he asked. She looked at him. Her voice trembled. "My father was betrayed. Our house was overthrown. I was captured and sold. They said I was too dangerous to live free." She clenched her fists. "I was passed from one master to another until I escaped." Jack walked over and stood beside her. "You don't belong in chains," he said. "You're not a thing." Her eyes met his. There was a strange light there. Part sadness, part surprise. "No one has ever said that to me," she said. "Not in years." Then suddenly the ship shook. "Warning. Incoming signal detected. Unidentified cruiser approaching." Jack rushed to the controls. "Damn it. Someone's scanning the ship." Nirali's face went pale. "They found me." "Can you hide?" Jack asked. She nodded and pointed to a storage panel. Jack helped her inside, closed the panel, and walked back to the cockpit just in time. A large screen lit up. A rough alien face appeared. A bounty hunter, scaled skin and metal teeth. "This is Captain Zor. We're tracking a stolen asset, a female fugitive. Scans suggest she's on your vessel." Jack kept his voice cool. "I'm just a repairman. No fugitives here." Captain Zor's eyes narrowed. "Let us search your ship." "Negative," Jack replied. "This is private property. Scan all you want from the outside." There was a long pause. Then Zor hissed, "If we catch you lying, you'll wish we'd taken her first." The screen went dark. The ship slowly moved away. Once the coast was clear, Jack opened the panel. Nirali stepped out, shaking. "They won't stop," she said. "They're everywhere. They don't just want me. They fear me." Jack looked at her. "What do they fear?" She took a deep breath. "That I remember who I really am." Jack was silent for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you want to run forever?" Nirali shook her head. "No. I want to live, to be free." Jack leaned back against the wall. "Then maybe we fight." She blinked. "With what?" "I have no power. I'm broken." He gave a small smile. "You're not broken. Just locked. and I know how to break locks. That night, while she rested again, Jack studied the collar, alien design, triple-locked encryption, bio-responding code. Impossible to remove without triggering a mental shutdown, but maybe not impossible to bypass. He whispered to himself, "You saved the wrong guy if you wanted someone to follow rules." Outside the small ship, stars moved quietly. But inside, two lives had already started to change. She was not just beautiful, she was dangerous, and now she was his responsibility. Jack sat hunched over his desk, tools scattered like puzzle pieces. The collar's scan results flickered on the screen, symbols from a language he didn't understand mixed with strange energy patterns. This wasn't just a tracking device, it was a cage for the mind. Behind him, Nirali stood quietly. She wore one of Jack's spare jackets, the sleeves too long for her slender arms. She was watching the screen with cautious eyes. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. Jack didn't look back. "Yes, I do." "Why?" she asked. Jack finally turned around. "Because when I look at you, I don't see a weapon. I see someone who never got a chance to be free." Nirali's eyes dropped to the floor. She sat down slowly on the edge of the bench. "This collar, it doesn't just block my powers. It changes how I think. When it activates, I forget who I am, even my own name." Jack turned cold inside. "That's torture." "It was made by the Order of Silence," she whispered. "They train broken minds for sale." Jack looked at her in disbelief. "Like brainwashing?" She nodded. "Every time I disobeyed, the collar would shock me, not with pain, but with false memories." Jack's fists clenched. Someone should burn that order to dust. Jack reached into a storage crate and pulled out a memory core, a glowing cube of alien code he'd scavenged from a wrecked freighter months ago. It might hold the answer he needed. "I'm going to try something," he said. Nirali hesitated. "If the collar reacts, I might lose myself again. I might hurt you." Jack looked straight into her eyes. "Then we'll take that risk together." He connected the collar's signal to the memory cube. Sparks jumped. Nirali cried out, holding her head. "Jack, it's speaking to me." "What's it saying?" he asked quickly. "It's giving me images, training rooms, commands, faces of buyers." Her voice cracked. "I was nothing, just something to be sold." Jack reached out and held her hand. "That ends now." The memory cube pulsed harder. Suddenly a jolt shot through the ship. The lights flickered. Jack pulled the plug. Nirali gasped, her body trembling. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I remembered something." She stood, wobbling, but stronger than before. "I wasn't just from a royal family," she said. "I was born to lead my people. I had a bond mark, proof of my bloodline, but they burned it off and told me I was worthless." Jack stared at her. "Then we find that proof." She shook her head. "Even if we do, I'm still marked as owned by galactic law. Unless someone claims me as their partner." Jack blinked. "You mean marriage?" "In your words, yes. Only then can the collar be removed without legal punishment." Jack looked away. "You don't even know me," she stepped closer. "But I know what you've done. You gave me food. You didn't look at me like I was a toy. You listened." He looked back at her. Her voice was barely a whisper. "If I had the right to choose, I'd choose you." Just then, the alarm rang. Warning. Scout drone detected. Jack rushed to the window. A small hunter drone hovered just outside the ship. It hadn't fired yet, but it was watching. "They're back," Jack muttered. Nirali moved closer to him. "I can't fight like this, but if I had my full powers, I could crush that drone without touching it." Jack looked at the collar. "Again, if I try to override this, it might fry your mind." She took a deep breath. "Then fry it. I'm done being their pet." Jack connected the collar to his override circuit. The code ran fast. He entered command after command. The collar heated up. Nirali screamed, falling to her knees. "Stop," she begged. "No, keep going." Jack's hand shook as the final code uploaded. Final override. Complete or collar shutdown sequence initiated. The collar unlocked with a hiss. It dropped to the floor. Nirali collapsed, gasping. Her silver skin sparked briefly, her body glowing. From inside. Her hair lifted slightly, weightless in the air. She opened her eyes. And this time, they burned like stars. She stood slowly. The room trembled slightly. Her voice echoed with calm power. "I can feel everything again." Jack stared in awe. The girl who once looked broken now stood like a queen. The collar hit the metal floor with a dull clang. Nirali didn't move, at first. Her body was still glowing faintly, the power she had long forgotten now returning like a rising tide. Her chest lifted with each slow breath. Her fingers twitched as if waking from a long, cold dream. Jack stood frozen. He had seen alien tech. He had seen war and destruction. But he had never seen anything like her, so quiet yet so powerful, so broken, and now reborn. "Nirali?" he asked softly. She looked up at him, and for the first time she smiled. "I feel strange," she whispered, placing her hand over her heart. "It's like something inside me has opened." Jack handed her a cup of warm water, and she took it without fear now. No trembling, no flinching. "Is it the power?" he asked. She shook her head. "It's peace." Later, Jack gave her a clean shirt, too big for her frame, and showed her how to heat food in the small kitchen unit. She moved awkwardly like someone learning the world again with fresh eyes. "This is edible?" she asked, poking the gray nutrient block. Jack chuckled. "Barely. It keeps you alive, not happy." She looked at him sideways. "Then why do you eat it?" "Because it's all I can afford." She stared at him. "You helped me, even when you had nothing." Jack sat beside her. "You looked like you needed someone." Nirali lowered her eyes. "I've always needed someone. But no one ever stayed." The ship rocked slightly as they drifted near a quiet nebula, safe for now. Nirali stood by the window watching soft purple clouds of gas swirl across the stars. "I used to dream of this," she said. "Freedom. Silence. No orders. No collars. No fear." Jack leaned against the wall. "What now? You're free, but wanted. That drone will report back. They'll come again." "I know," she said. "But I'm not afraid this time." He nodded. "Because of your powers?" She turned to him slowly. "No. Because of you." That evening, Nirali asked for help washing her long silver hair. She didn't know how to operate the ship's water recycler. Jack hesitated. "You sure?" She tilted her head. "Are you afraid of me now?" "No. Just not used to being trusted." She stepped closer. "Then get used to it." The water was warm. Steam filled the tiny washroom. Jack sat behind her, gently running water through her glowing strands. Her skin shimmered under the dim light, not in a flashy way, but like moonlight, on calm water. He noticed scars on the back of her neck. She noticed him staring. "They tried to erase me," she said. Piece by piece, Jack placed the wet cloth aside. "They didn't succeed." She turned to face him, her eyes softer now. "I don't understand you, human. Why? You touch me like I'm fragile. You look at me like I matter, and when I speak, you listen." Jack gave a half smile. "That's what people do." She shook her head. "No, not in my world." Afterward, wrapped in a blanket, Nirali sat close to him in the ship's lounge. The ship lights dimmed. A soft hum filled the silence. She leaned against his shoulder. "I can still feel the echo of the collar," she whispered. "It's like a shadow in my mind." "You'll heal," Jack said. "One day at a time." She looked up at him. "I want to feel more," he paused. "More?" She took his hand gently, placing it over her heart. I can control energy. I can stop weapons with my mind. I can fly through gravity storms. Her voice grew quiet. But when you touched my hand in the medbay, it was the first time I felt something real. Jack's breath caught in his throat. This was no longer just rescue. This was something deeper, something fragile blooming between two souls who had been alone for too long. Nirali leaned closer. I can't stand anymore. Pretending I don't care. He looked at her, heart pounding. I want you, Jack. He didn't answer with words. He just held her close, not like a soldier or a savior, but like a man holding a life that mattered. And in that silent moment, across the stars, something old and sacred began again. Not with a war, but with a touch. The stars outside were too still. Jack didn't like it. He sat in the pilot's chair staring at the blinking red dot on the radar screen. It was far now, maybe just a scout. But it hadn't moved for 3 hours. That drone's watching us, he muttered. Behind him, Nirali stood barefoot, wrapped in a blanket. Her silver hair was dry now, her glowing skin calm, but her eyes narrowed when she looked at the screen. They found me, she said softly. They always find me. Jack shook his head. We're not done yet. He activated the ship's jammer. The drone's signal flickered, but just then, ping. 3 more dots appeared. Jack cursed. They were waiting. Nirali sat beside him. It's not just bounty hunters this time. They've sent a royal retriever. I can feel it. Jack glanced at her. What's a retriever? Her voice turned cold. A living weapon. Born to track, trained to tear apart anything between them and their target. Me. Jack's jaw tightened. Let them come. I've survived worse. Nirali placed a hand on his. This fight isn't just about me anymore. You're a target, too, because you care. He turned to face her. Then we stand together. Suddenly, boom! The ship jolted violently. A flash of light lit the stars. One of the attackers had fired a warning shot. Jack jumped to the weapons panel. Shields at 50%. They're not playing. Nirali stood, eyes glowing faintly. They don't want to kill me. Just disable the ship and take me. She raised her hand, and for a moment, her energy shimmered like a soft wind. Jack stared. What are you doing? I'm reaching out, she whispered. I want to see who hunts me now. Her eyes rolled back. She gasped. They brought him, she said. Tareth, the last retriever. He doesn't talk, doesn't stop. He destroyed my cousin's escape ship with a smile. Jack felt a chill. Then we better not give him that chance. He flipped switches. I'll get us into the asteroid field. It's tight, but we can lose them there. Nirali nodded. I'll help you steer. He blinked. You fly? She smiled. No. I feel movement. I can guide us through without touching the controls. Jack grinned. All right, co-pilot. Let's dance. The ship dove into the asteroid field, metal groaning under the speed. Behind them, 3 enemy ships followed. Fast, sharp, silent. One wrong move, and they'd all be space dust. Left, Nirali called. Jack turned hard. A massive rock scraped past their wing. Up, they shot upward just as a missile crashed into a nearby asteroid, sending fire and metal spinning in all directions. Jack's knuckles were white on the steering bar. You weren't kidding, he gasped. You really can feel the paths. Nirali smiled faintly. We're not done yet. Suddenly, a shadow fell over them. A large enemy ship, black and silent, blocked their way out of the field. Tareth, Nirali said. A voice came through the comms, low, robotic, and cruel. Return the asset. You have no claim, human. She belongs to the Royal Reclamation Order. Jack grabbed the mic. She doesn't belong to anyone. There was silence. Then, incorrect response. Prepare to be boarded. Nirali stepped forward, her body glowing brighter now. No, I'm done running. Jack watched as she walked to the back of the ship, opened the hatch, and stepped onto the outer platform. A shield kept the air in, but the stars stretched endlessly before her. She raised both hands. Her voice echoed inside Jack's head. "Cover your eyes." Jack did. A second later, flash. A blast of light surged from the ship like a tiny sun erupting in the dark. The enemy's sensors fried. Their controls froze. The black cruiser spun out of position. Jack whooped. "That's what I'm talking about." Nerali stumbled back inside, breathing hard. "I can't do that again soon." Jack caught her as she fell. "You don't have to. You gave us time." The ship escaped the field. Silence returned. Nerali sat curled in the co-pilot seat, eyes heavy, power drained. Jack looked over at her. "You saved us both." She smiled sleepily. "I had to. You gave me something worth saving." Far behind, in the shadows of the broken enemy ships, the retriever watched. His lips curled. "This is no longer a recovery mission," he said. "This is war." The ship floated quietly in deep space now, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Jack had powered everything down. No signals, no lights, just silence. But inside the ship, tension crackled. Nerali lay on the medbed, shaking. Her body still glowed dimly, like fire hiding under ash. Sweat beaded her silver skin. Her breathing was shallow. Something was wrong. Jack knelt beside her. "Nerali, talk to me." She blinked slowly. Her voice was weak. "They activated the final command." Jack's heart dropped. "What command?" "The collar," she whispered. "Even though it's off and it still has roots inside me. A last link, a kill code." Jack cursed under his breath. He'd broken the metal ring, but not the signal buried in her nervous system. The Order had thought of everything. She wasn't just chained by tech. She was wired to die if she ever truly escaped. "How much time?" he asked. She shook her head. "I don't know. Hours, maybe. It's growing." Jack stood up fast. "Then we're not waiting." He grabbed a toolkit and opened the hidden panel beside the medbay bed. Inside was a piece of stolen tech, an illegal neural recoder. It had one job: go into the brain and rewrite commands. Risky, untested, possibly fatal. Nerali looked at it. "That'll kill me." Jack's jaw clenched. "Or save you." He connected wires to her temple gently, his hands shaking. "I can't lose you," he said quietly. She smiled faintly. "I was already lost. You're the one who found me." Jack looked into her glowing eyes. "Promise me something." "What?" "If this doesn't work, don't go quietly." She chuckled softly. "I wasn't born to die quietly." The machine hummed to life. Code flickered across the screen in a strange alien script. Jack used a translator. The final command code was there, buried deep like a knife in her brain. "Hold on," he whispered. He pressed override. Nerali screamed. Her body jerked. The ship lights flickered. Her fingers dug into the bed. The glowing lines on her skin pulsed brighter and brighter, then turned black. "Her energy's collapsing," Jack muttered. He boosted the neural charge. Come on, come on." Suddenly, silence. The screen went dark. Nerali stopped moving. "No, no, no, no," Jack cried, pulling off the wires. He shook her gently. "Nerali, stay with me." Then her fingers twitched, her eyes opened, and this time, they weren't glowing silver. They were soft, human-like. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Jack, you're alive," he said, choking on relief. She nodded. "It's gone, the code, the link, the shadow in my mind. It's gone." Jack sat beside her, unable to speak for a moment. Then she reached out and touched his face. "No one's ever risked that much for me," she whispered. "I didn't do it for royalty," Jack said. "I did it for you." She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. "I don't feel like a prisoner anymore." Jack smiled. "Then let's live like we're free." Outside the asteroid, space was quiet, but far beyond that, the retriever was preparing. He looked at the failed tracker data. He had seen the power pulse. He knew she was no longer chained, and that made her dangerous. She's no longer bound, he said. Now she must be erased. He activated a new protocol. Target status: unchained. Engage elimination. Back on the ship, Nirali changed into a proper flight suit. She stood taller now, stronger, no longer trembling. She looked at Jack. What happens next? He grinned. We take the fight to them. She smiled back. Side by side? Always. The stars above burned cold and silent, but inside Jack's ship, something fierce had awakened. Nirali stood at the main deck, her silver skin now marked with glowing lines of strength. Not pain. No collar, no chains, no fear. She had her full powers again. Jack tightened the last bolt on the shield array. Ships. Ready? He said. But if we run, they'll just follow. Nirali nodded. And if we fight? He looked at her with a steady gaze. Then we make them regret ever touching you. Suddenly, beep. A red alarm blinked on the screen. They've found us again, Jack said. Multiple ships, and one massive heat signature. Nirali stepped closer. It's Tareth. He's come himself. Jack frowned. Good. I owe him something. But Nirali shook her head. No. This isn't your fight anymore. Jack blinked. What are you saying? She turned to him, eyes glowing. I've been hiding too long, always afraid. Always waiting for someone else to fight for me. But not anymore. She stepped toward the hatch. I will face him. Alone. Jack grabbed her arm gently. You're not alone. She looked into his eyes. Jack. You said it yourself, he said. Side by side, I meant that. Her lip trembled. I don't want to lose you. Then don't leave me behind. Outside, the sky lit up as the enemy flagship arrived. It cast a long shadow over the asteroid. From its belly, a black pod launched toward them. It landed with a hiss. The door opened. Tareth stepped out. Tall, armored, face hidden behind a steel mask. His voice echoed like thunder. Nirali of Varixia. You were property. You broke contract. You are now a threat to galactic order. She stepped forward. I am not property. I am power. Tareth raised his hand. Then die for it. In a blur, he charged. A wave of force blasted from his body. Jack dove aside. Nirali stood firm, her own energy shielding her like a dome of stars. They clashed, mind against mind, power against power. Invisible blasts shook the asteroid, rocks cracked. Air shimmered with heat. Jack tried to help, firing the ship's cannons, but the shots bounced off Tareth's armor. He's too strong, Jack shouted. Nirali gritted her teeth. Not stronger than choice. She opened her arms wide and let go of all control. A pulse exploded from her chest. Time seemed to freeze. Tareth staggered back, disoriented. His mask cracked. He growled, You'll never be free. She stared at him, breathing hard. I already am. She thrust her hands forward. A final surge of raw light engulfed him. Tareth screamed and vanished. The silence that followed was deep. Jack ran to her side as she fell to her knees. You did it, he whispered, wrapping his arms around her. It's over. She leaned into him, exhausted. No, it's beginning. Hours later, the ship flew again. The enemy fleet had retreated after Tareth's defeat. No one wanted to face what Nirali had become. Jack stood at the helm. Nirali joined him, fresh clothes, hair tied back, eyes calm. I've been thinking, she said. Uh-oh, Jack smiled. That's dangerous. She chuckled, then grew serious. My people once believed in bloodlines, in arranged power, in chains. Jack nodded. But now, I believe in choice. She turned toward him. I choose you. Jack didn't speak. He just reached out and held her hand. Soft. Strong. They looked out at the stars, not as prisoner and Rescuer, not as royalty and outsider, but as equals, as something new, together.